Hi, I'm Ruben Saltzman with Structure Tech Home Inspections, and today I'm going to share with you a quick DIY test to take the temperature of your own furnace, which literally involves taking the temperature of your own furnace. So the technical name for the test that I'm talking about today is called a Temporize check. Or if you're a super geeky home inspector or HVAC contractor, you might call it the delta T. That's the difference in temperature between the air coming into the furnace and the air coming out. Every furnace manufacturer publishes on their data plate what the temperature rise range can be. And usually it's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of about 30 to 80 degrees. And it's the difference between the air coming in and the air going out. The whole job of a furnace is to take relatively cool household air, pull it in through a filter. The fan's going to push it up and out of the furnace. It passes it over this big hunk of metal called the heat exchanger, which adds a bunch of heat to the air. And then that warm air gets distributed throughout the rest of the house. Another way of explaining it is that that relatively cool air passes over the heat exchanger and removes a bunch of heat from the heat exchanger. And there's a certain amount of heat that needs to be removed. That's the temp rise. So there's an acceptable range for every furnace, and just measuring this, it's quick and easy to do it, and it's a good health checkup on a furnace. And this is something that any homeowner can do. You don't need any type of specialized knowledge. You don't need any type of specialized tools either. All I'm using for this test, for home inspections, I've got a little bit fancier thermometer. It's a little bit faster and easier to use, but really all you need is any old meat thermometer. This one's like I took this out of my kitchen. So whatever meat thermometer you get, you can even get the analog type with the little dial on there. I think they sell for like $3 at the store. So you don't need anything super specialized to do this test. So to do the test, go to your thermostat, crank up the temperature a little bit, maybe turn it up by 10 degrees. Just get it so that you know your furnace is going to run for a little while. And now grab yourself a book or grab your phone or whatever and camp out next to your furnace and just sit there and make sure that your furnace runs continuously for the next 15 minutes. If your furnace shuts off before your thermostat is satisfied, and that means that if you turned your thermostat up by 10 degrees and the temperature in your house increases 5 degrees, and then your furnace shuts off for some reason before it actually raises the temp by 10 degrees, you've got a problem. Your furnace is not supposed to do that. That would be called short cycling. So turn up the temp, camp out next to your furnace, just kind of in the background think, is my furnace continuously running? It should run continuously. After it's run for quite some time, say 15 minutes, now we're ready to do the Temporize check. And all you got to do is find an opening in the return. And the opening that we always use is going to be the opening for the furnace filter. You just pop that door open, stick your thermometer in there, and take a reading of the temperature of the air coming in. If you're like most normal humans, it's going to be somewhere pretty close to 70 degrees. Much colder, and there's something wrong with you. Much warmer, and I guess you just like it warm. But yeah, measure the temperature of the air going in, and then take your thermometer and find some hole in the upper plenum and measure the temperature of the air coming out. And do a quick little bit of math, and that's going to be your Temporize. Now, on some furnaces, it might be fairly difficult to find an opening in the upper plenum, but if you look hard enough, you can always find something. And your probe is going to be fairly small. You can usually find something to stick it into. So once you've got these two numbers, let's just say in this case it was 70 degrees coming into my furnace, it was 120 degrees coming out, that would give me a Temporize of 50 degrees. Next, I need to find the data plate on my furnace, and I need to look at what the acceptable range is. Sometimes it's going to be inside the burner compartment in the upper cabinet of the furnace. Sometimes it's going to be within the blower compartment. On my particular furnace, it's actually attached to the door on the blower compartment on the lower portion of the furnace. So I pop that door off and I take a close look at it, and it says that my acceptable temperature rise is going to be somewhere between 30 and 65 degrees. Now if we go back, we remember my Temporize was 50 degrees, so that's a perfectly acceptable number. Now if it was over 60 degrees, that would indicate a problem. What's the problem? I don't know. It could be a lot of different things. Maybe I've got a really dirty furnace filter. Maybe I've got a clogged evaporator coil for my air conditioner. It could be a clogged secondary heat exchanger on the furnace. Maybe a bunch of my return registers are blocked. Maybe someone put magnet covers over them, or put clothing up against them, or furniture up against them. Maybe somebody went around and closed a bunch of the supply registers. Maybe the furnace is oversized. Maybe the ductwork is undersized. I'm giving you a ton of maybes. There's so many potential causes for an excessive temperature rise, but the really easy one that you ought to check yourself is your furnace filter. If your furnace filter is filthy, that's a super easy fix. Replace your furnace filter, do the test again. In fact, maybe you'd want to change your filter before you even do this test. But those are a bunch of potential problems. I would leave it up to an HVAC contractor to figure out exactly what the issue is and to find a remedy for it. So that sums up the basic testing procedure to figure out the Temporize on your furnace. This is a great test you can do. We're just coming into the heating season now, so give it a shot. I'm Ruben Saltzman. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.